What's up guys? We're starting off today super late because I spent this morning finishing up and making that rad montage with the R33 and trying to get all the giveaway details sorted out on the website and everything. While I was here, Alberto stopped by for a little bit trying to get a jump start on some of the stuff that we have going on next week. And what did you do with all this diff stuff, my friend?
I hate differentials from now on, but...
You're pretty good at it though. Literally every single time Alberto's like, the parts you gave me, they aren't gonna work. I can't do this, it's impossible. I just like, whatever, Alberto, whatever. And 10 minutes later, every single time he comes back, he's like, Samit, I have figured out a way.
Yeah, I figured it out. So the differential that he ordered is for Chaser, not for IS300. After I disassembled the IS300 differential completely, I went to put the ring gear on the cast differential and it didn't work. The ring gear is way bigger. So I had to put this differential back together and then I had to take this differential apart. And then we didn't get the right bearing, so I ended up having to press. Wait, how would you say? You yank out the whole bearings, you pull them out.
I guess so.
And then clean them up so they look like brand new bearings. I inspected, they're all good, and put them on a new differential. And then clean this out, and then spend another 30 minutes or so taking these things out.
Just with a chisel and hammer. So if you aren't really sure what's going on here with the diffs, I got a manual IS300 diff, which is a lower gear ratio, so I can have a higher final speed since I have a CD in that car. I think it's closer to like a 3.5 or a 3.6, where what we had in the car I think was like closer to like a 4.1. So gearing should be a lot better for like street car and for drift stuff. Alberto's just been playing Frankenstein, swapping between the two diffs and putting in the Kaz LSD that I got. Now we get to delve into my box of Serial 9 goodies and figure out which one of these is for the diff. It's a little bit too easy, isn't it, Alberto?
Done. So nice.
It was a little too simple.
Way better than taking it off.
Gassing up old Delilah. Me and Alberto about to go cruise. I am geeking out over this just a little bit right now. I noticed this is the first time, I'm pretty sure ever, that we've had 4 JDM cars all in the same place, all right-hand drive, and all very special cars too, and all very different. We got a 4-door Skyline that makes 600 wheel. We've got a 2JS15 that makes 900 wheel. This R33 giveaway car that's gonna make about 400 wheel and be very cool. And then a beautiful Chaser that's gonna make about 400 wheel too. So it's a pretty stacked shop, and it's pretty cool just to kind of see where things have taken this place in such a short period of time. And just being able to see all the cars in one space and still having room for, you know, maybe another car, and we could put a car here maybe. That's a lot of room. I'd like to take a second and thank the sponsor of today's video, Ring. If you guys aren't familiar with them already, they make the rad video doorbell camera that we have at the house. It's sick, it's HD video, 2-way audio. Helps you keep an eye on package theft, or if you're like me and you want to see who's at your house without actually having to go to the door. But we actually have a full Ring set up at the warehouse now too, which is pretty tight. We have their actual wired cameras, and then they have floodlight cameras too that are motion activated. So it's really cool because all of us can kind of see what's going on at the warehouse, who's doing what in regards to the trucks, trailers, loading cars up, what's going on in the warehouse and the shop. So Ring has a really cool product, and it's really nice that I can just pull it all up on my phone through an app, get notifications. It's got this cool little ring, and it's just very convenient and nice to have. As a subscriber, you guys can take advantage of a special offer that Ring has given me to give to you. Their Ring starter kit that comes with a video doorbell and a motion activated floodlight camera. It's got everything you need to start building some rad Ring security around your house, and they have a special offer on it for you. All you gotta do is go to ring.com/LZ. Once again, that's ring.com/LZ, and I'd like to give a massive thank you to them for sponsoring this video and making all the rad stuff that we do possible. The Big Boost tuner has been putting in work trying to dial in his E36. How's it looking, man? Is there danger to manifolds still?
Hopefully not.
He's just trying to get his 2-step all dialed in so he can be the fastest one off the light. Too bad he doesn't know rubber wins the race, brother. Rubber wins the race, brother. Alberto, how long have you lived in Florida?
9 years now.
9 years, and this man doesn't own a Sun Pass. What happened, my dude? We split up on the highway.
Because race car?
I was trying to keep up with an M4, who turned out to be just a mom, and she wasn't about it. So now we're at Topgolf, Alberto's favorite place.
Well, we shouldn't be throwing balls on my park this time.
Do you think that you can hit a ball farther than me? You should be able to.
No, you've probably been practicing.
We'll see. Whose balls will go farther? Alright, so it's Sunday. I woke up and and I was like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna do today. And I wanted to film something and I wanted to get something done today. Even though we were planning on starting the Skyline on Monday, I kind of wanted to get a head start with it. So I figured I'd come over to the warehouse. I'm gonna kind of try to clean up the shop so we have a nice work environment for Monday. But on top of that, we're gonna take the Skyline for a drive since we're gonna pull it apart and we're never gonna get to drive it in its form right now. So I figure I'll throw some GoPros on the car, like an exhaust mic, turbo mic, and just an in-car. And we'll go for a quick drive just to kind of have a starting state of the car to compare it to when we're done building it and making it super rad. So we'll go take it for a drive, then we'll take it back, and I think I'm gonna start pulling stuff off. That way tomorrow morning we can get started and do some of the fab work that we are going to do before the car can go off to paint. You'll understand. All right guys, we've got the engine bay mic'd up and we've got the exhaust mic'd up. We're gonna go take a little stroll in the R33 before we go and take this thing apart and are able to drive it for what hopefully will only be 2 weeks. But I just want to kind of have a baseline of what this car was like before we go and tear it apart and make it extra sick. So this is where we're at. This is what we're going to do. So I'm fairly confident that all the Hika stuff on this car is still active and working. And as much as people complain about it, I understand why it's probably not good for like drifting or track use. But it's actually really, really sick for like turning around in small spaces like my shop or a parking lot. It almost feels like this car has an angle kit. So that's kind of cool. Something that I definitely didn't think I would dig so much. Considering that the coilovers this car aren't the best, the car actually rides really, really nice. So kind of cool. Like right now, I would feel confident giving this car away because it drives very smooth, pulls nice, and the brakes feel phenomenal on it. I kind of want to do a brake test. Is that okay? You guys mind? Do a brake test real quick. Yeah, they're good. Very manageable too. Like that wasn't even fully in it, but it sounds so cool. Now I don't have too much to compare this to, only the R33 GTR that I had over in Japan, and I guess my Skyline, but when I got my Skyline it had a single like aftermarket turbo on it. The turbo was blown and my RB had like all cracked rings, so this one actually feels very healthy. I would even go as far as to say that this feels like it spools faster than an R33 GTR does, which I guess makes sense because R33 GTR twins aren't really the most efficient. They just kind of take a while to get into power, but we'll get on it. I think we spun. Definitely moves. I think the sound of this exhaust too is perfect for a street car. It's not crazy loud, but it's loud enough where you can hear that this thing is something special. Especially once we do the manifold that I got on this car. It is, what do you call it? Going to be an external dump. So this thing will really scream, but also be kind of quiet, just cruising around. So pretty excited for that. All about this turning radius. All right, let's get on it again. This thing moves! It's actually a lot of fun. I like this thing. What's crazy is this car's about to have like 150 more wheel, like horsepower. So that's sick. But like I said before, I mean, this thing's pretty rad, pretty special, and like I would feel comfortable giving it away right now because it's very reliable. It's got AC, it's comfortable. These seats are sick. I love our 33 GTR seats. It's a good car. But anyway, now you got your baseline. Car doesn't really spin the tires. You can get it to chirp. It'll spin a little bit in first. I'm not sure if it has an LSD yet or not. I gotta check when I put it on the lift, but if it doesn't have an LSD, I'll put one in it, because once we start making 400 wheel, it's really gonna need one. But it's a perfect exhaust note, where like it's quiet if you have the windows up. When you have the windows down, you can hear like, ah yeah, this thing gets down. The cool thing too is the 3071 Gen 2 that we're gonna be putting on this. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention that, I guess. We're gonna be putting a 3071 Gen 2 on this car, the same turbo that I have on my Skyline. It's gonna spool just as good as the stock turbo does, if not better. It'll be a very, very similar setup to my Skyline, just toned down a little bit so it'll be more reliable and less finicky like my car tends to be, since I am kind of pushing mine at its limit. Right now the car's running about a bar of boost. And there we have it. We're back. So with the R33, since I wasn't planning on working on it, I have two very realistic goals for today. One, I want to do a compression test, since after tonight we're not going to be able to run or drive the car anymore. So I want to check and make sure that the RB is healthy so we know what we'll need to do once we have it out of the car, in case, worst case scenario, we do have to rebuild the bottom end. Obviously I'm hoping that we won't have to, but in addition to that, I also want to pull the intake manifold so I can test fit the billet one that we have to figure out where we're going to need to cut a hole in the engine bay. That way all cutting and all stuff done with the engine bay is done before it goes to paint, so it looks nice and finished after. Seeing as I'm not used to this space yet, you can predict to hear a lot of me complaining about not having the proper tools and not being able to find anything anywhere. Yeah, I still need to get on that. Unfortunately, with all this extra crap in the way that I'm not used to having, it's going to be a little bit more of an intense job just doing a compression test, but I'm going to have to pull all this stuff off eventually, so it's not like it's any wasted time. I'm sure I won't regret doing this in the long run. So I visually inspected the tops of all the cylinders and they look pretty good. All of them are dry, so that's a good indication that we don't have any like leaky valves or any weird stuff going on in the head. But the spark plugs were a little crusty. It looks like they haven't been changed in a while. The car wasn't misfiring or anything, but it looks like it definitely probably could have used a service. All the actual plugs are okay, but just all the threads look kind of crusty. What is cool is I think these are yellow jacket coil packs, so that's like actually a pretty cool upgrade that the car already had. So I don't know if we'll end up keeping these or selling them, but they are worth a decent bit of money. Now we're going to use the same compression tester that I just used on my RB that we know might read a little bit off since it starts at 30 psi. Not the most ideal thing in the world. However, it is cool because we have the numbers for my RB25 that's built to use as a point of reference. So we know on the same exact compression tester, my RB25 that's healthy, feels good, got around 120 all across the board. So hopefully this one will get the same, if not better. I know that my ring gap on my RB is a little bit loose, so I would expect this one to be a little bit better. Just about identical numbers to my RB on cylinder 1. I do know though we're supposed to be doing this full throttle just for sake of video. I just did it from out of the car without full throttle. I'll do a full throttle again though, just for the heck of it, to see if it makes a difference. With the throttle all the way depressed, we got closer to 130, but for the sake of continuity, I'm just not going to press the throttle on all the cylinders just because we're looking for even numbers, because I don't really trust this compression tester. Cylinder number 2, we have same exact number. On to cylinder number 3. On to cylinder number 3. On to cylinder number 3. I'm sweating. This is now 4th try on cylinder number 3. I think it wasn't reading right before because I think it was just a little bit harder to twist the compression tester into that one, since normally you just twist it in my hand. So I got some needle nose to get a little bit better seal, and hopefully it'll read higher this time, because it just wasn't looking right or sounding right. So fingers crossed this does the trick. It's not looking good. I've been making new plans now, and I've spent the past half hour on the phone researching alternative ideas and stuff that I can do with a timeline and everything. But I have one last idea. We're not giving up yet. Let's crank this girl over. Nope. I thought maybe the corrosion from whatever caused this water damage on the spark plugs was preventing the actual compression tester from going all the way in. So I used a wrench to make sure it's going all the way in and sealing, and it's still not cooperating. I guess we'll move on to cylinder number 4, see what's going on with those. Maybe the compression tester is broke, who knows? $60 again. Maybe the compression tester legitimately broke. Super weird, right? My unoptimistic prediction after we saw those results on cylinder 3 was that 3, 4, and 5, since they're all the ugly corroded ones, would have poor compression. So we're about to see if that's the case as we test cylinder number 5. If our prediction's right, this one will also be 60 psi, but if 6 is 60 psi, then maybe we have a bad gauge. So let's see. It's looking like it's not a bad gauge because we just got a whole 75 on that one. That's weird. Here goes cylinder 6, last one. And my prediction was right. All those ugly looking cylinders were the ones that were low in compression. All the clean ones were about 120. So, the question is, what could this be? Could be a head gasket, could be something in the head, could be something in the bottom end. We don't know. I would like to say that all this corrosion is the indication of a bad head gasket, but that doesn't make any sense for water to like get up through the spark plug, right? I don't see how that would make sense. We would see more indication of it on the actual plug, I would think. I don't really know. I guess we should probably do a leak down test. I feel like that would probably be the best way to go about figuring this out. What throws me off the most is the fact that the car wasn't misfiring, ran really well, doesn't have any indication of anything going on in the coolant, pulled strong, and it wasn't misfiring. I don't get it. But it is, it's always such a puzzle. These 3 were the ones that had low compression. There's no way water could get up if it was a blown head gasket, right? Does that make sense? What is going on? All right, so we might have good news. I just got done talking with Martin from RS Enthalpy, who has plenty of experience with RBs. He told me that if the engine had the compression numbers that we read, it would not have run smoothly. It would have felt very, very wrong. And Tommy brought up a very good point that I didn't even think of. That this car is a vented hood, so there's a good chance it sat outside and water was getting in through the hood right around the 3 cylinders that are showing issues. Now the question is, what Martin thinks is the corrosion on those cylinders might very well be preventing the compression tester from sealing. So we're going to do our best to clean them out and then do the test again. And that would line up and make sense with the numbers that we are seeing. Cleaned up the threads, still getting the same reading. So I think the next course of action to take with this is to do a leak down test. Conveniently enough, PSI had a leak down tester that I can borrow. However, it is getting very late, and we're trying to get early starts each day of the week as we build this car. So rather than doing this tonight, unfortunately, I'm probably not gonna be able to sleep tonight thinking about what's going on, to just wait until tomorrow to when we can properly leak down test it and figure out what's up. But I will let you guys know, regardless of what happens to this engine, whether it's salvageable or not, I do have a backup plan, and regardless, this car is gonna be phenomenal and will be very, very reliable. And this is why I'm compression testing it before I pull the engine, because how much would it have sucked if we go through all this work, put a nice turbo on it, put a nice manifold, get it tuned, just to find out that the engine wasn't healthy. So even though this is bad news, it's kind of good news, because it should mean that this will get built even more reliable and prevent issues like this from happening in the future. So anyway, if you haven't entered and you don't know anything about what's going on with this car, this is an R33 Skyline GTS 25T or whatever you want to call it. Has an RB25 in it. Plan is to basically build it to around 400 wheel, have a nice, fun, reliable street car. And if you want to enter for a chance to win, every $5 you spend on eligible merchandise on lzmfg.com, check the link in the description, will enter you for a chance to win this car. Unlimited entries. Unfortunately, it is only USA, 48 states, 13 years and older and up, but we have all the official rules and everything on the site if you want to check that out. So anyway, this is her, and we're gonna get her back running again, I promise. So, sad night. It's probably gonna make a little bit more work, a little bit more of a time-intensive build, but we'll get it done by the deadline, and this thing's gonna be rad.